Good to have you on the podcast, man.
Thank you. I think this is my third time or second time for sure.
Second time. The first time was 111 episodes ago.
Wow, really? How you do this every week?
No, I don't have the time or energy for that. I do it every 2 weeks, at least every 2 weeks or so. I think we did 3 weeks just because I've been preparing for this Ableton Pasadena event.
Damn. So it's been like a couple of good years.
We were in the middle of COVID, I think, when you joined.
Damn.
But that's wild. You've been hustling, and I love your Instagram videos. I love all the videos of you posting these little like hacks inside of live.
Thank you.
If anybody is listening and doesn't know you, you should follow Sidebrain. That's your handle, right?
Yep.
On Instagram. Yeah, dude.
Everywhere.
All of your little videos, I always follow and like them. They're solid.
Dude, thank you so much. So I think the last time I was on your show, on the podcast, I did still have my music school, which was called Beat Lab Academy.
Yes.
And during the pandemic, I still had it, but everything moved online. We had the Zoom classes, and I kind of lost the point of why having a physical location. So I closed it, and a lot have happened since, but I started doing my own thing, like you mentioned, on YouTube and Instagram, and it's been going great, and I've been loving it. And it's honestly a blessing also to be able to do it from home, because I got 2 kids, I'm a single dad, so it's really great having this flexibility to be there for them whenever they need, but still do this, which I love. I just love, making content, finding cool tricks. I honestly love finding tricks sometimes more than actually like making music and stuff. Just like I'm getting very excited about all the stuff. I start developing Max for Live devices we can talk about. So yes, it's been a very exciting couple of years.
Yeah, for sure, man. I agree. I love being able to work from home and teach online and have that flexibility. If I can go to work and not wear pants, that's a great day.
Exactly.
That's how I feel. Well, today we were going to dive into a bunch of 12.1 updates. Usually I do these updates with Brian Funk, but I thought you might be an awesome person because I've been seeing so many little tutorial hacks of you with 12.1 features, just to kind of pick your brain on your favorite updates. And I would also just love to just learn what you're doing, what's going on in your world and projects you have. I think you're still going to be presenting at the Ableton event. Are you still available for that?
Yes. So I'm going to be visiting my family beginning of November. I should be back on the 13th, 14th. So I'm good to go. Super exciting. Also, the Ableton offices are like 10 minutes for me. So
that's what you said.
Yeah, it's very close. I know all the people there, and I don't know if you've been recently, but they set up a really awesome space for this type of workshops. And also, I'm humbled being in such an awesome cast of presenters. I saw Chuck and a bunch of people there, so I'm super excited to be part of it. Thank you for including me.
Dude, I'm so happy that you're going to make it. Yeah, I was really surprised and humbled and thankful that Ableton just reached out to me and a handful of people and said, hey, we redid part of this big space in our headquarters in Pasadena, north of LA. And we're reaching out to a handful of like Ableton influencers or people who have done a lot with the community. And we want you to just kind of take over the space and do whatever you want with it. So we're doing that 2-day workshop in November. For anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about. I've got a killer lineup, Chuck Sutton.
Yeah.
Robert Trusco, do you know him?
Who's Robert? No, I might know him by face.
He's an insane push player. Like I would put him against Jonathan Stein. I think they're 2 of the best. Yeah, they're both insane push players. I've never seen anybody play like them. He's an incredible bass player. He's played with like everybody in the music scene, especially in the jazz world. So he's going to be there and do some stuff. If anybody didn't get a ticket, if it goes well, I'd love to do it again maybe next year.
Is it sold out already?
It sold out in the first 20 hours. I was surprised.
Okay, amazing.
I was like, maybe I should have charged more. We could have done more stuff if I had more money.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome.
I wanted to make it affordable too for like starving artists all over the country who are coming in from out of state, because I'd say half of the people are coming in from out of Cali.
Wow.
That'll be really fun. But anyway, yeah, man, stoked that you're going to be able to make it. We could talk more about that later too. But do you want to jump into like your favorite new live 12.1 updates? Or?
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, thank God 12.1 released, because I've been posting videos about it for months and people are like, when is this released? When is this released? I start feeling bad posting like stuff about 12.1 beta because I didn't even know when it's going to get out, officially released. So very excited. I feel like also in some way it was a tiny bit masked by the Ableton Move release. But obviously now everyone knows 12.1 is out. I think this is, from what I can remember, one of the biggest point updates ever. There's so many exciting new features. So I think the most obvious ones, the big ones, a lot of people already mention it. People are probably already using. So I would love to just mention a few smaller updates that I find fascinating. Some of them are still not working correctly, which I can mention. But maybe one of the biggest ones, which I used yesterday, and it kind of saved my ass. I was working on a project. I was continuing working on it, and all of a sudden I noticed that one of the clips was gone, like the MIDI clips. I don't know, maybe I deleted it accidentally. So now if you hit Command-Option-Z, you get the undo history. And you can also find it under the view menu, which is absolutely amazing, because I was just able to scroll down, go there. Oh, I went too far back. When I found the clip and was able to continue working on it. So instead of kind of hitting this endless Command-Z or Control-Z and just waiting for whatever you tracing back to, now we have a list. I think it's amazing and super useful. So that's a huge update I'm excited about. Another one, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I actually stumbled upon that last night on accident. And like, it's huge because if you click on the right side of the bar, like if you click on as far down as you want, it'll automatically just make all the commands change down to that point. And then you can just click at a higher point in the list and it just snaps back to that point too, which is really nice.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So that's very exciting just as a workflow wise. There's another very exciting creativity wise that now, and it was a bit bizarre for me to see that it's a feature. I guess not, because we do have Max for Live. But now Ableton allows us to write our own JSON scripts, which used to be used mostly for like guitar tablatures, but now we can write a system of rules for chords, for heptatonic scales like major minor, for chromatic scales, for like 8-tone scales, pentatonic, and then you just have your own custom stacks like the Midi generator tool. So I don't know if a lot of our viewers are using already this new stacks tool that allow us to very easily create chord progressions, but now we are able to create our own custom chord sets, which are super awesome. But I do want to mention that I did create my own. I actually went to ChatGPT. I asked it, hey, here's are the rules of the coding. Give me chords in the style of, let's say, Robert Glasper, like a famous keyboard player. And it gave me some super awesome chords. But when you go and load the custom stacks, and then you start scrolling between the chords quickly, Ableton freezes. So there's a bug I need to report. I hate reporting bugs, but there's a bug I need to report, and hopefully they will fix it, because honestly, it's an awesome feature.
That is cool.
I'm very excited about that.
That is a really cool feature. Can't remember the name of it. There was a Max for Live or a MIDI tools release, and I forget the name of the coder. I'm really sorry.
Philip Meyer?
It wasn't Philip Meyer. He was on the podcast. It was a different person, and you could just type in the progression of chords.
Dude, so everything I say today, please, viewers, I'm not trying to sound pretentious, okay? I was the one who posted it online, and through me, like the dude reached out to me. It is from Italy, the developer. And he reached out to me, hey, I have this new device, check it out. And then he gave it to all the certified trainers, but I was the first one on Instagram to showcase this insane device. And he actually reached out the other day to thank me for all the traffic. And he has another device he wants to talk to me about that is also very exciting regarding melodies. I don't want to give anything away, but it's something in development. So if anyone's not sure what we're talking about, it's called M2TM.
M2TM.
Yes, chords or something like that.
And he goes by Midi to the Max.
Midi to the Max.
With a number 2, yeah.
Yes, from Italy. Awesome developer, has some awesome stuff. And you can literally write down chord progression by their name. C small m, D major, whatever. And it will put down your chords. I think the most amazing feature about that tool is that it also have automatic voice leading. So it will change the inversions of the chords depending on the next chord, which is so super cool. Awesome. It's insane. It's absolutely amazing. And I think that's only a glimpse into what we're about to see in the next couple of years regarding MIDI tools.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, now that like Max for Live is quote unquote more open sourced, there's so many more options, which is really exciting.
Just to mention, you mentioned Philip. I just want to mention that 12.1 also introduced a pack of MIDI tools, new MIDI tools, officially from Philip, and you just have to download them separately. But that's another great addition that now we have more official MIDI tools from Philip, who is an amazing, one of the leading developers for these Max tools. I actually took one private with him because I wanted to learn more about that context of MIDI, of Max devices. And he has some really interesting tools that can create some very interesting results. I was experimenting with some of his tools. I just taught a class about odd time signature, and that worked great with those type of things.
He's in LA, isn't he, Philip?
He's in LA. Yeah, he's in LA.
We should invite him.
I somehow also know him personally before I even knew him in relation to Max. Never, some girl I dated was friend of his girlfriend. Anyway, and then we kind of got into connecting through Ableton and Max. So it was weirdly, I knew him before I even knew him as a Max developer. I knew him like as more of a friend, kind of a friend of a friend. And he's awesome, and I'm sure he's working on more stuff. I'm sure we're going to see some more amazing stuff for him. And he did create a YouTube video recently about his new tools, his new official tools, that now everyone who has Ableton 12.1 suite have those tools. You just got to download a separate pack, live pack. MIDI tools, it's called MIDI Tools by Philip Mayer. If you search it on Google, it will bring you to the Ableton website. But I do believe you can also download it from the Ableton browser.
You can get 50% off of his MIDI tools bundles if you go to the show notes of his podcast episode, which is number 167.
And I highly recommend everyone checking it out because some super awesome tools, especially if you like the experimentation and getting some super interesting results. And also his videos of him demonstrating those, are really great. Like he really show good musical examples. Because a lot of times, from my experience with these developers, they're like geniuses, but it's hard to translate into good music, and he does a great job with that.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's a brilliant guy. Other updates.
So there's another pack that you have to download separately. It doesn't come automatically, which is the new sequencers.
Yes.
There's 3 new sequencers. I have one video I did on YouTube on the rhythmic steps, which is super awesome because it allows you to create your own custom grooves. It's hard to explain just with words, but it allows you to change each 16th note forward and backward in time, and thus creating your own custom swings with these rhythmic steps. It also takes over the push pads and essentially extend the push capabilities. So that's super exciting to see what other devices we're going to have that are extending the push capabilities. For example, back in the push 2 days, there used to be a pack, still is, called Probability Pack. I have a bunch of videos on my YouTube page about them. The Probability Pack, each one of those sequencers was able to take over the push and again, essentially give us new modes of using with the push, which is absolutely amazing, just expanding the capabilities. Unfortunately, that company, I think it's discontinued, so it wasn't updated to the push 3. Unfortunately, hopefully someone can do it one day. So
was that Sonic Faction?
Exactly.
Was that it?
Yes, exactly. They were a great company, but I think they went to do other things. That pack is still existing, and it's an amazing pack, probability pack, and it's still highly recommended to use. And if you have push 2, just know that whatever you can do with the push 2, you can do even more with this type of devices. And today, with the rhythmic steps, the new sequencer, it's also expanding the capabilities of the push 2, 3, and even the push 1, by the way, if anyone's still using that. So that's very exciting. That is the older sibling, by the way. There's another pack called Creative Extensions, which have the melodic steps. So rhythmic step is kind of like the older sibling. I think it was developed, and I'm sorry if I'm wrong, at least co-developed by Kristen Klein, Max for Cats, one of the main developers in Ableton, was one of the leading on the Meld, for example. But another feature that is really great, it's super small, but in the Meld, at the time that it was still in beta, I had an interview with Christian because Ableton commissioned me to do a video about the Meld. And I asked him, Christian, why is there no ability to cancel the phase reset with oscillators? If you start stacking oscillators and they're all starting from the same point, they're going to have this kind of laser-ish sound in the beginning of the attack. when the phase is resetting. So now they added a new control under the settings of Meld that you can turn off phase reset, which allows you to create super saws. Before it was like a kind of laser sound in the beginning. So this is very obvious when you start using the stack.
I see that now. Yeah.
I just asked. He said, yes, you're right. We'll add it to the list.
Well, yeah. Cheers to you then, man. Hats off to you. There you go.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, we love that.
So that's another super awesome tiny feature because the Meld is definitely overlooked. I feel like the Meld is a bit scary to reach, especially when you open up the thing. But absolutely amazing synth. One of the most analog sounding synth from Ableton that I've used, and highly recommend exploring it for anyone who haven't done so already. I do have a free Meld preset pack on my website if anyone's interested.
I have to also shout out your Drift preset pack because Drift is probably one of my favorite synths as far as analog style goes. And you made an incredible pack. Those are some solid...
Dude, I was a Drift hater. I appreciate it. I was a Drift hater, dude. A Drift hater. I was like, what is this cheap sounding synth? I can make it sound good. And as soon as I realized, and this is thanks to Sid to Stage, by the way, has an amazing overview video about the Drift, and how the relationship of the volumes into the filter are so musically, like you just move a tiny bit, it's a completely different tone that made me fall in love with the synth again. Thank you very much. And also I'm about to do another video about the Drift pack, because now with the new update on the push, we are finally able to access macro variations. My preset pack, each preset, it's actually 5 different sounds, thanks to the macro variations, which are now also accessible from the push. It's such a streamlined workflow when you're using this preset pack on the push, because you load a preset and very easily you can change different sounds from one preset. So I will do another video about it soon. And I had a friend, composer, who told me there was a Papa John commercial. They used the 808 from that pack.
No way.
That's hilarious. Yeah, so the 808 is pretty popular.
I have like a love-hate relationship with Papa John's. I got kicked out of a Papa John's once and I wasn't allowed to go back because we prank called them in high school when I was like bored as a freshman in a small town. We had nothing to do. We pranked called Papa John's.
Dude, I'm ashamed to say I never tried Papa John's. There's a few, obviously I didn't grow up here, but there's a few chains that I need to try. They're like Jack in the Box, I never tried, stuff like that. I just need to go and test it out. You say it's nothing to call home for.
But that's pretty cool that you had your music in a commercial. That's wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, not that music, just they used the preset, they told me.
Yeah, but the preset made it better. So basically, you made the song.
I appreciate it. Shout out to Dan. He's also named Dan. He's the composer guy.
It's a good name.
Yeah, absolutely.
This episode is brought to you by Audient. They sent me their Evo 16 audio interface. It's honestly one of the easiest interfaces I've ever used in my life and helps me track ideas much faster without sacrificing any audio quality. It sounds really clean. This powerful interface is packed with features like the Smartgain feature. With just one touch of a knob, the Smartgain automatically sets the perfect gain level for all 8 channels simultaneously, so you can instantly just plug in and start recording right away. They have an advanced converter technology that ensures crystal clear audio quality, while its intuitive motion UI control system gives you easy access to all the features you need right away. So whether you're tracking individual instruments, or vocals, or a full band, or just jamming out on your guitar, this is one of the easiest interfaces to use and will not sacrifice the audio quality at all. I'm a big fan of this. I'm actually using it now over my Apollo currently at the moment, and I think they could easily charge twice as much for this interface. So whether you're a professional or getting started, this is one of the easiest and high quality interfaces that I've used at home, and I highly recommend you check it out. Check out the links in the show notes for more info on the Evo audio interface by Audient. You were talking about the rhythmic steps, just taking a step back. I do love that pack a lot. I have a lot of students or whoever who struggle with drums, or they struggle with making rhythms and things. This is like a game changer. This is really made for drum racks, I think, although you could use it for other stuff if you wanted. But
not only for drum racks, but also specifically for the new drum samplers, because there is one tab in the rhythmic steps that is called slide. And that allows you to change the MPE slide parameter on each step. if you go and look at the drum sampler, now there's two ways of modulating parameters with velocity, but if you click on it, it changed to slide. And I don't know if it was intentional, what was designed first, but it definitely seemed to work really nicely together. Again, I have a video demonstrating on my YouTube called Rhythmic Steps, a new way of creating your own groove in Ableton. And the slide is also Rhythmic Steps. Really cool, really awesome. And definitely invite playing, especially if you have something like the push.
What is your take on the new drum sampler?
Okay, I love it. First of all, I think maybe in some situations it's too simple, but for most cases, I love it because of this new effects, like the two macros effects, which it seems like an ongoing concept. We can see it with Meld. Meld also have this two macro concept, which allows for beginners to very easily come up with stuff. But also, I would say, at least the Meld is a great balance between going in depth, like going crazy and complex, but still keeping things simple with just two macros for each. So we also see it in the built-in effects. Hopefully, we can see those effects as a separate device, just like a cool chaos pad style effects, which I absolutely love. And if you do have a XY controller, I'm sure there's for the iPhone and stuff, it can be a great controller for this type of chaos pad, like XY type of effect. So I love the new drum sampler. I think it's a really great kind of gateway into simpler, because simpler, as much as it's called simpler, it's not. It's extremely powerful sampler. Not even to talk about the actual sampler. So I think the drum sampler is great. I want people at home not to be confused with it's not only for drums. Try to load a chord sample into the drum sampler and play with the effects, play with the grain, play with the looping. You can create some really amazing stuff. I do suspect that the drum sampler was specifically designed because of the new Move. But I can't tell for sure.
That makes sense. No, I bet you're right. That makes a lot of sense.
But we could see that correlation, kind of this symbiosis between the software and the hardware, also when the Push 1 was released, and we had the new button, or it was with the Push 2, and all of a sudden you can see in Ableton also things reflecting that were probably, initially it was designed for the hardware, but were reflecting on the software. For example, another update in 12.1 is now that we have, and I think maybe we had it in the past, but now they brought it back, a default groove. So now every project have a default 16th note swing groove. As soon as you create the first clip in your project, you will see next to the metronome icon another fader that is the amount of groove, of the global amount of groove, which is by default on 0. So people need to pay attention that if you start adding groove, you won't hear anything unless you start turning up the groove, the global groove amount. It's on the top next to the metronome. You won't see it unless you have at least one clip in your project.
Yeah.
That is another thing that I would assume it was developed or added because of the Move. Or vice versa. I don't know exactly what was first.
I'm not sure. I think it is a great addition. And also, like, that groove is automatically applied inside of every MIDI clip. So you
and you can change. And you can change whatever groove you want to be default. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, you don't have to drag a groove to a clip or like go down and select it. It's like already there.
I can honestly say from my experience with my students, people don't use grooves because it takes like 5 clicks to load the groove into one clip.
Yeah.
And now it's just turn up the amount.
Yeah, for sure. I personally don't use grooves that much, but I think it could be really powerful if you just need to swing something or get everything to kind of like line up.
Exactly. I would say there's some styles that are essential with groove. For example, two-step garage. Kind of like a UK style. People maybe more like UK garage, which is more of the house style of two-step. But two-step, Craig David, for example, super famous back in the early 2000s artist two-step. But for that, you kind of have this shuffle, skipping feel, and it's going to be very annoying to start moving things on the grid rather than maybe to use 16 grooves. So I think it really depends on your style, but at least now it's so much more accessible, which is awesome.
Yeah, for sure. You can also apply the grooves to the audio clips as well, if people didn't know that.
Yes. And another thing about the audio clips that is now new in 12.1 is that also audio clips now have the scale awareness. Now, this is only for auto shift. Because right now, auto shift is the first audio effect that is scale aware or key aware. So that means that let's say you're in a session with an artist, with a rapper or something, a singer, you have a few beats already lined up in Ableton to just have them come up with ideas, melodies, whatever it is. And maybe you only exported the beat itself. So you can have each clip already have the key. So when you jump in the arrangement, it's automatically changing the auto shifts to the right key, which is awesome. I think also we're going to probably start seeing more audio effects that are key aware, which is very exciting.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Yeah, the scale awareness thing is huge.
It's crazy.
Especially like in Meld too, if you're like detuning stuff and playing with the filters and stuff.
The cold Midi effect. Yeah, it's crazy. I love it.
Just locks right in. Auto shift is cool. Like, and I think a lot of people think of auto tune as vocals, but you can do way more with auto shift than just on vocals.
For me, auto shift I don't need to use auto tune. I used to use plugin, like commercial bot plugin. Auto tune, little alter boy, which allows me to do kind of like format shifting. Finally, we have official format shifter in Ableton. People used to hack the vocoder maybe to do something like that. But now, finally, we have this format shifting, which allows us to change the tone of the vocals without changing the pitch, which is huge. So auto shift kind of eliminated a few plugins for me, including I used to use another plugin called Manipulator by Polyverse, which now we can just play. You can use the auto shift as a harmonizer. So I do have 2 videos about it on my YouTube if anyone wants to check out, including a free rack that I just released a couple of days ago for live harmony. So if people want to check it out.
Yeah, that was a cool hack. I actually took some of the stuff from that video of creating harmonies using like a audio effects rack. You just create multiple chains, then you just change the pitching in each auto shift, and you can create these really cool like lush harmonies and fat vocal racks.
I love it.
It's pretty cool.
It's awesome.
Other updates, like there's some new devices. We have the new limiter, which I think sounds way better, so much better.
It's day and night. I can't even compare it to the old limiter. The old limiter wasn't. I don't know. I'm not even sure it worked correctly. You know,
I didn't like it.
It makes things sound worse. So
one of the first things I would tell students before 12.1 is get yourself a good limiter.
Exactly. I feel like this update made some plugins redundant for me specifically, and one of them is a limiter. The limiter is awesome. Like, it's really great limiter.
It's good. Yeah, and you've got multiple modes. You have the true peak as well, which is nice.
So I just want to recommend to people, for me, I found that the MS, the mid-side mode, is great. I put it in maximize mode and just drop down the threshold, and it's awesome. Maybe it's not fully mastered, but at least, not even on the master. I put it on my groups. I put it on individual things as kind of like a gain stage and to boost things. Absolutely amazing. One of the biggest updates, honestly, with this limiter is huge. It's big. Also, they added the saturator, now have hard clipping. So this, in combination with the limiter, you can get some really good volume.
For sure. And with the saturator, they have the new bass enhancer shaper curve with like a dedicated threshold. So you can do some really nice low-end processing on your basses with it too.
Absolutely. On that note, I would also recommend an alternative. We have the awesome Roar, which is not 12.1, it's Sense 12. But I would highly recommend everyone, if you put on Roar and you start turning up the drive, whatever algorithm you use, open up the modulation section. Okay, open up the modulation section. Let me just load it up so I'll make sure I'm not... open up the modulation section, go to the matrix, and just turn up the amount of the envelope. That will make the roar so much more dynamic, and it's great if you put it, if you want a multi-band mode to do it for just the bass, or just overall, I find it to be amazing. So the roar is great, but use the envelope follower. It just makes it so much more dynamic.
Yeah, for sure. That was a good hack. Rob, Homemade Spaceship's a friend. He's going to be at the Pasadena event, and when Roar came out, he did a really good presentation on making like dynamic drums or plucky sounds just really pop with the envelope follower and Roar.
Amazing. Let me go over. I have a list here for the new features. Auto tagging in the browser has a good potential. I really hope that they're going to have a key detector of some sort. That would be awesome. So we can start searching samples by keys and stuff. That would be great.
That would be huge.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I think it wouldn't be that. I mean, I don't know because I'm not a coding developer person at all, but I would imagine that's very possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so many algorithms out there for key detection. I wouldn't see why not.
You can change the browser to full height.
Oh my God, dude, that's so weird.
Nice.
That's so weird. It's great. It's awesome, but
You
just
don't
as
like
someone
it?
who's using no. I think it's awesome. It's just someone who's using Ableton, I don't know, version 5. Just seeing that is just something in my brain malfunctioned. But yeah, it's awesome that it's there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just like crate digging for sounds or something, it could be nice to have that extra screen.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
don't know. I never use the additional mixer control window, like where you can stack the mixer view.
Oh, within the arrangement?
Yeah, when
No.
12 came out, I don't ever have that much screen space to be able to see my device view, arrangement view, and the mixer controls in one.
For me, it's mostly the clip view and the device view. I love seeing both of them together so I can play with the instruments while I'm playing with the MIDI notes.
Yeah.
But the only situations where I show the mixer as well in, like, let's say arrangement view was when I talk about mixing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Other than that, didn't really get a chance to use that so much.
Yeah. If I had a screen that was 4 feet tall, maybe, but
right.
yeah.
Yeah. Or just squinting and making everything super small.
Yeah, exactly.
So more new features that I like. Envelope follower, a modulator effect, now have a built-in sidechain. So this allows, for example, to create a dynamic EQ in Ableton super easily. You put an EQ, let's say, on your music. You put the envelope follower on music as well, right after the EQ. You map the envelope follower to one of the points of the EQ to drop every time the vocal sings. And then you can sidechain to the vocals instead of putting the envelope follower on the vocal track and do like between tracks. I have an Instagram tip about dynamic EQ just for that, for the new feature. So that's can save a few mouse clicks.
Yeah, I didn't know that they added the sidechain.
So it's super awesome. One thing to mention though, by the way, because I see it on the list here, there is one update that wasn't included officially. We were supposed to get new keyboard shortcuts for editing automations, but that's I don't know why it was discarded. So that's not in the new.
This episode is brought to you by Magic Mind. It's a little energy shot that you can take. I love having this, even with my coffee in the morning. It's some of the most high-quality matcha you can have, and it makes you feel really good. It's full of adaptogens and functional mushrooms, high-quality matcha, and it's something that you can take in the morning, you can take in the evening. I absolutely love this drink. I share it with a bunch of people when I go backstage at shows, if we're staying up later in the night, and it doesn't give you that crash like you get with coffee or unhealthy energy drinks. Highly recommend checking out Magic Mind. Just go to the link in the show notes and use the discount code Ableton Music to save some money. You could save up to 48% off. Definitely check it out. I highly recommend it, and it tastes good too. Yeah, there was a lot of keyboard shortcuts that they changed at the beginning release of 12, and then I think a lot of people yelled at them, and then they changed them back.
Yeah, one keyboard shortcut that not a lot of people know about. I'm sure some of your viewers do, but just O.
Oh yeah,
the metronome.
The metronome,
which which is awesome and which is great. So that's, I think, is fairly new. The O.
Yeah, they took away the hide return tracks in arrangement view at their first release.
And they brought it back?
Yes. I mean, I have to give a lot of credit to Ableton's development team. They do listen to the user feedback, which is really great.
Yes. I want to also mention that this is very exciting. Every time there's a way to break Ableton, I'm excited. And they allowed us now to MIDI map the MIDI tools.
Really?
So you can now MIDI map all the knobs and buttons in the MIDI tools, which, besides like a potentially amazing visual of MIDI stuff, MIDI notes, potentially you can break Ableton in that way. So I'm still experimenting. But it's very exciting that now you can map it, and maybe we can even make like MIDI feedback loops. Let me experiment more with that, but I just want to mention that because that's very exciting. It is.
There's so many possibilities of performing with that.
Exactly. Or even like generative music. It's a lot of great potential for that.
Yeah, the performance pack was huge as far as performing. and mapping and creating custom MIDI controls and everything.
Iftach, yes, I had the opportunity to interview Iftach because I did a video. Ableton commissioned me to do a video about the performance pack, also on my YouTube page. Sorry for saying YouTube page so much.
No, it's great. You have great stuff. People need to check it out.
Thank you. But if anyone wants, I talked about the performance pack, a few techniques with it, including hands-free live looping, which is super fun.
That's interesting.
There's also a new MPE tools, which I'm still exploring, but the MPE Glissando MIDI tool allows us to very easily glide between chords. So that's also a very interesting tool.
Yeah, I know Jonathan Stein does a lot of really wild stuff with MPE
yes.
and chord transitions and changes, and he's got some cool videos out there about that too.
Yeah, he does a lot of stuff on his Patreon. If anyone's interested in getting better on the push, definitely check him out.
Yeah.
Dan, do you mind if we also talk a bit about the Move?
No, please do. Actually, it was on the list of things that I was going to talk to you about, because I know you have one.
I just got one.
I haven't had the chance to play with it yet. I got to preview it, but
do you have one?
I don't have one. No, I'm just going to probably stick with a push 3 at this point. I feel like it's a baby push in a lot of ways. So,
wow. I don't know how much I should bitch about it, but I did get one. Okay,
yeah, you could say whatever you want, man. To be honest.
Okay. Let me be as truthful but as politically correct as I can.
Sure.
I got one because Ableton commissioned me to do a video about it. Okay, they sent me one to do a video. Now, it wasn't really free because they took away the fee that they pay me. So it's, I unlike the push in the past where all certified trainers got it, the push 3 and the Move is starting to become an expensive manufacturing thing for Ableton. So we do get discounts and certified trainers, but it's not like we all get one for free, which would be awesome, but I completely understand why.
Yeah, it's expensive.
I got one. I gotta say that is the first time I saw the Move when they presented to us, I was disappointed. But I don't think I'm the demographic for it. I don't think I'm the audience. But couple of things about the Move that I want to say. Ableton is, I want to say my life. My kids is my life. But Ableton is a big part of my life. That's what I do professionally. That's what I do every day. I love Ableton. I know a lot of people from inside Ableton. I worked with Ableton for years. Okay? For years.
Yeah, I understand. I feel the same.
And this is just me speculating. It seems to me that this is an unfinished product on the software side. For example, it has a built-in speaker. If I connect it to USB-C, I can set it in Ableton as an output device. But the built-in speaker will still output unless you have something plugged into the headphones. It doesn't have to be plugged in anywhere, but it has to be plugged in here in order for the built-in speaker to turn off.
I saw your post in the Certified Trainer Facebook page. I saw your post about that and I went cross-eyed. I was like, that seems weird.
It seems so weird. Another example. Again, I love Ableton with all my heart.
Yeah.
The only reason I say all of this is because I care.
Sure.
Another example. You load the 16 pad, you load the drum rack. Only the left 16 pads are doing something. These are dead pads. By default, you can turn on the 16 pitch mode. And I do believe, again, that's why we're going back to the video game industry, I do believe that this is just a firmware thing. And in a couple of months, they're going to release an update with more features and they're going to turn this device into an awesome thing.
Yeah.
But why release something when it's not ready?
I kind of felt that way about the Push 3. The first time I played with it, it froze. I hear you. I definitely hear you. I think that there was a hype to kind of get it out probably around the same time as the release of 12 or 12.1 with the Push 3 and then Move. I could see that from your perspective for sure, that there's a rush and maybe they didn't rigorously test it as hard with the firmware side and maybe kind of had the mentality of we'll update it later.
So that being said, let me say some good things about the Move. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
I was skeptical when I got it. It feels great. Honestly, it feels really good.
Yeah.
Perfect weight. Pads are super responsive. And I would say one of the main concepts of the Move, which works yet, is the immediacy. Meaning that if I load a drum rack, I just need to turn the knob. It's a different drum rack. Turn the knob, different drum rack. Also with instruments, just turn the knob. It's immediately loading. Even a complete sets of music, you can very seamlessly transition between. So the immediacy of it is absolutely amazing. It feels great. Everything is very responsive. There are some very smart things about the design. For example, this entire bottom row right now, we can't see it, but these are all LEDs with icons that are only going to light up when you click the shift button. So I love that type of things. As a control for Ableton, you're also able to use this step sequencer to sequence notes and chords in Ableton. So a lot of super positive things. But the most exciting thing about this, and this, when I first heard about it, I was in shock. But then I was excited. The brain of the Move is a Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi is one of the cheapest computers you can get.
Yeah.
But that means that very soon, some hackers are going to build their own custom firmware, and who knows what this device is going to be able to do.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, for all the Move users that already have this device, I highly recommend joining the Ableton Discord. They have a Move feature request that directly the developers of Move are watching it, and I would assume the most popular feature requests would be added in future updates. So if you're not on the Ableton Discord, I would recommend joining so you can talk to the developers and request some features. So overall, super awesome. I will do a video about it soon, but I do feel like the firmware is not fully flashed out for release. That's all.
Yeah, I felt that same way about the Push 3 when it first came out. Because I feel like there was a lot of firmware updates, and I know they're still working on firmware updates for the 3. And Jesse was on the podcast, and he talked about the creation of the Push and the 3 and all of it. And he even admitted that. He's like, there's a lot of firmware updates and things we want to continue to support it with. And so I don't think it's really even scratched the surface of what it's going to look like in the next couple of years. Because I think the Move and I think the Push 3 are probably going to have some massive updates.
Yeah, I can say that for the Push 1 to the Push 2 was astronomical leap, especially because of the screen. And the Push 3, at least the MPE pads, and I wasn't like an MPE excited about MPE at all as a technology, or I didn't understand it because of Rolly. Rolly kind of ruined it for me with their rubber with the seaboard. But the Push 3 is absolutely amazing when it comes to MP. So I'm very excited to see what other things they can do. One thing just to mention about the Move, please, if anyone's watching and you are on the Ableton Discord, go on the feature request of the channel of the Move. I personally added there a feature request that I would love to see on the Move, which is called live loop cutting. Live loop cutting was originally introduced with a software called MLR for the original grid controller, which is the Monomi. This, by the way, is from Flying Lotus. Signed, that's his.
Oh, nice.
But, yeah, it's back in, I don't know how long, 15, 17 years. But this is the original grid controller, which allows you to play loops on each row, and you can see the LEDs light up as they progress in the loop. And then you're able to live cut the loop and rearrange it in live. And this is perfect for it. Just 4 loops running here, and you can live loop cut. I love it. Please vote for my feature request.
That would be massive too, because you could record audio into it as well, right?
Or at least load loops. You can already record audio. You can already record sampling, which the sampling is awesome, by the way. The built-in microphone is not that bad. So this is one of super awesome features. And of course, you can always go in and sample from here.
That's what I'm saying. If you could use it in that way and cut loops on the fly live and plug into it, that'd be awesome. Yeah,
dude, that would be so cool. That would be so cool. I really hope they will do it. I don't see any. I mean, I feel like they can. Especially, it's like, they can do whatever they want with the Raspberry Pi. So it's very exciting. It's very exciting.
It's interesting. That's a different piece of tech than really completely different on the inside than the Push 3 is, because that's using an Intel chip.
Exactly. Maybe for pricing.
This is even more open source. Yeah.
Even more. Yeah.
Yes. Seems like they're definitely trying to reach a different demographic of people who are just wanting to create on the fly. It's like super portable. It's more affordable. It's like a good entry controller.
When it was leaked on Reddit, before it was released, I saw some people shitting on it. And there was a few people who was like, dude, I'm a dad that has to take his kids almost like every day of the week to after school programs or whatever. I sit in the car, wait for them. This is perfect for me. So I kind of understood, okay, yeah, there are some people who just sit in and would prefer to just make some beats rather than, I don't know, play games on their phone or whatever. So I'll let you know my impression in a couple of weeks as I continue exploring it. And Ableton, again, have me make a video of just, not like a tutorial, just making music with it. So wish me luck.
Yeah, Ableton has a new showroom at their headquarters in Pasadena, and so it'll be interesting to go there and to jam on the Move. I haven't touched it yet, and I'm sure they might make an update maybe even by then. It's a month away, so it'd be cool. Nice. I'm glad you mentioned that. There's definitely pros and cons from what I've heard and seen about it. I imagine the firmware is going to get better.
And again, I hope people don't mistake me for a hater. On the contrary, I love everything about Ableton. I just want to, I represent Ableton in some ways, a certified trainer like you.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to stand behind the products.
Absolutely.
With full confidence.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. I would love to see, and I don't know if there's maybe some kind of like copyright trademark issues or something. I would love to see if Ableton's really getting more into the controllerism world to just see a better APC 40.
Damn, that would be
That's
awesome.
What we need, man.
APC 40, I don't know if people know, but that was the original.
Yeah.
Original Ableton controller.
With a Kai.
I have the first one. I have the APC 40, the original one.
Yeah.
It's still
me too.
Amazing controller.
You could throw it off a bridge. That thing's a tank.
And the faders, it's just everything about it was awesome.
It felt good. Yeah, it was solid. It was heavy. Like, I don't know. And then they went to the digital faders, and I'm sure it has a place. I just prefer physical faders. I don't want digital. I don't want the digital faders.
No, absolutely.
Akai, yeah. And Akai partnered with Ableton on that, and it would be nice to see somebody.
It would be. I feel like faders are somewhat of an overlooked component in controllers these days. I understand the real estate and maybe the price, but a lot of the new controllers, like, they don't have a lot of faders in them, and it's a shame, because that is, in my opinion, much more expressive to play live effects or even just volumes rather than encoders or knobs. I prefer faders. There was a question on the push group, if anyone using a companion controller. So I just want to recommend the Native Control XL from Novation is a really great companion controller with faders for the push.
Have you seen Intech Studio controllers? These modular... Oh, I'm going to share this with you. This is crazy. I haven't tried it yet, but I've been wanting to play with this. I'm going to share my screen.
You have them?
No, but I'm going to hit them up and be like, yo, you should send me one.
Oh, I saw maybe an ad?
Yeah. There's a lot of ads on Instagram with this. I got hit with one, and you can build out your own custom MIDI controller. They all click together like magnets, and then they all talk to each other. So each one of these is like a block, and you have blocks of knobs, you have blocks of faders, you have blocks of like touch it strips and all this different stuff. And you can just build it out and create your own controller however you want. And they all talk together. And each one, I think, has like something, I don't know how many banks. I think it's like 16 banks on each one.
Is it a kit that you build or you already get the module?
You buy each individual module, and you can
okay. You don't like DIY. Okay, sweet.
And they all magnetically just connect together.
I'm sure it's not only for musicians, but also for like editors and stuff probably will.
Yeah. These things are really cool. And it has its own software as well that you can just like custom code it if you wanted to. But they seem really smart and intuitive, and it's supposed to be pretty easy. Intech Studio.
Although, just to point, if you're already talking about desktop controllers, just back on the Move, it's a good size for a desktop controller, and I would assume it's like 2 or 3 of those modules. So that's great. That's super cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm gonna hit him up and be like, "You wanna send me one of those? I'll talk about it."
Come on, guys.
Yeah, why not?
I know.
12.1. Was there anything we didn't touch on? I feel like we talked about most of the stuff in here.
Yeah, there is another sequencer from the rhythmic step. I just want to mention the SQ, which I'm going to do a video on. It's an extremely powerful analog style sequencer, and it can be great for synths, plugins, and even hardware stuff. Absolutely amazing. And I do also want to mention that it's a bit hidden, but now we have a modulation step modulation, like a sequencer of modulation, like that you can have each step to be a different amount, and you can map it
cool.
to a parameter, but it's hidden inside the step ARP, which is the third sequencer from the sequencers pack. So right there in the step ARP, which used to be called ARP back in the Max for Live Essentials day, now it's updated. So now you have a tab that is just called, I think it's called map or something like that, and you are able to map it to any parameter you want, have a step sequencer, and just send it like one long MIDI note just to run. I should do, you know what? Now that I say it, I'm going to do an Instagram video right after this, showcasing what I'm just talked about. But
yeah, I didn't really dive into the step art, but this looks really cool.
Yeah, if you go to the Map CC tab, you can just map it, and essentially you have a modulation step sequencer.
Interesting.
Which we don't really have built in.
That's wild. Yeah, I didn't even know that was there. That's crazy. You can get some really insane like modulation out of this thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely going to play with that. Yeah, I look forward to that video. You should do that with all of your spare time.
Oh, for sure.
Because you're not busy at all.
Oh my God.
Chopping MIDI notes. That was one of my other things.
Oh,
that's pretty cool.
The chop MIDI tool?
Yeah.
It's great. I think it's not finished because, for example, if you have, let's say, a chord of a half a bar and then 2 chords of quarter notes, if you highlight all of them and chop it up, it works like it should work, but I don't think it works in the most musical way. So, for example, if I chop up those to 16, they're all going to be chopped up to 16, but because the chords are shorter, they're going to be much smaller 16 chops.
Oh, I see that. I just did it. Yeah.
So something about it, it's not ideal. I still can't kind of maybe verbalize what I mean, but you know.
No, I know. I see what you mean. That is kind of difficult to explain. But yeah, if you have like chord and then another chord, so 2 chords, like if they change not on the beat when the next chord's played, it chops it in a weird way. Is that what you mean?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And 2 more things. One, each step you can kind of stretch ×2, ×4, which is super cool. But why there's no quantize button? Now, I know you can go into the quantize MIDI tool, but it would be very nice if you do, because as soon as you stretch one step, everything goes off grid. Just have a quantize button like other MIDI tools. Mm-hmm. That being said, another super hidden feature in 12.1 is that now you can chain MIDI transformation tools. So let's say you take a few notes, you go to the arpeggiate MIDI tool, you click generate, great. You're going to see on the command line, on the bottom, it says arpeggiate. Then you go to the chop MIDI tool, you do some stuff in the chop MIDI tool, then it adds on the command line, you'll see arpeggiate, arrow, chop. Then you go into another MIDI tool, so it chains them together, and then you are able to go back to the previous MIDI tools and continue changing them in that chain of MIDI transformation. So that is very interesting and somewhat of a hidden new update.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So you know what I'm talking about? I don't know if I can share my screen.
Yeah, you should be able to share your screen.
Let me see.
I don't see how to link them though. That you were saying.
Here, so you see right here, I don't know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, I can see it.
But if I have, let's say I have these, okay? And now I'm going to go here, arpeggiate. I'm going to generate, transform. You see down here, it says arpeggiate. Now I'm going to go, connect. I'm going to do some stuff here. And now you see, now the chain of transformation is created. Let's go strum and do some strumming. So now we have this chain of transformation. So if I go to the arpeggiate, it won't arpeggiate them from beginning. It will continue to arpeggiate them from the beginning of the transformation chain.
Okay.
So it's something very interesting that worth exploring.
Yeah. There's a lot of possibilities with the MIDI tools.
Yeah. I mean, they did a great job with the MIDI tools. MIDI tools, in my opinion, is as revolutionary as the Warp engine back in the day, as Max for Live, meaning that it will create new genres of music similar to FL Studio MIDI editor that at the time created new style or new subgenres of music, like all the trap, new jazz, all those things. Plug-in B, all those kind of crazy stuff. So I would assume also in the new MIDI tools, we're going to see some new styles or subgenres emerge thanks to these tools. And who knows, maybe we're going to see a resurgence of black MIDI. I don't know if the viewers know about Black Midi, but Black Midi is a culture. If you search Black Midi in Google, now there's a band called Black Midi, unfortunately. So they would come up first. But if you search Black Midi, music sheet, for example, that's why it's called Black Midi, by the way, because Black Midi is a music culture where composers intentionally try to make compositions with the most amount of MIDI notes. So if you search Black Midi, let's say, I don't know, whatever, Black Midi on YouTube song, you'll see 3 million notes, 6 million notes. It sounds ridiculous, like the sound, how it sounds actually, it's ridiculous. It's just like whatever. But
it sounds
terrible. But just the concept and everything about it, I love it so much. Just, the concept of it. And with these new MIDI tools, I think there's also potentially getting a new wave of Black Midi. And the reason it's called Black Midi, because if you print it on a music sheet, it will just look black because there's too many notes.
Yeah, I see people like these like Instagram memes of people like making like MIDI note patterns of like a cat, and then it's just like this giant wall of like weird sounds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that, because we got all these tools to do crazy MIDI stuff.
It says Max for Live in the new 12.1 update. It says export loopers content to a clip. I couldn't quite find where that is. Do you have any idea?
Well, I think that's inside Max. If people are building Max, I'm just assuming here. If people are building Max for Live devices, they are now able to access through the API the ability to, like we were able to drag after we do something with the looper, to drag from the looper to a clip, to an audio clip. So now I think you also able to do it, to call it this command from Max for Live. So
that's what it is. Okay,
maybe people will build like companion apps and stuff.
That makes more sense. I read it at first glance as something that was in the looper, but it's not. It's just a programming option. That's cool.
Exactly. Yes.
Nice. Was there anything else 12.1 related that you wanted to shout out? I know that we're getting close on time.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, there was a few small things like the search in MIDI notes, which is interesting. I still need to explore that. The Echo have a very tiny update that now if you go to the extra tab, you are able to adjust the smoothing time of the repitch. So as you change the delay time and you'll hear the repitching, now you can change how long does it take to reach the new pitch, which is cool. It can be quite useful for some cool effects. The tuner now supports tuning systems, which is very exciting. You are now able to access pitch bend in a drum rack from the MPE editor. It's kind of weird because it's only pitch bending for the length of the note, but still some interesting things you can do with that. So if you go to the MPE tab inside a drum rack, on the bottom, you are now able to access, like where the velocity is, you are now able to access pitch bend, which is new.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing.
I'm sorry, you'll have to right click on the velocity. Maybe I should show my screen again. Here we go. So right here, I have a drum rack. I create a clip. I go to the MPE tab. And here you can right click and you can turn on pitch bend. And now you have pitch bend inside the drum rack right here in the clip.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't know that was an option inside the MIDI
But
clip.
again, the pitch bend is only in the length of the clip. So they might create some issues with releases and stuff. But let's see. I don't know. It's just a new feature. It's very interesting.
I mean, that makes sense, I guess, because you would want to pitch bend per note because each note is playing a different drum cell.
Right.
So that'd be kind of difficult otherwise, I guess, to have it work outside of just each note. Dan, before we finish, if you don't mind me shamelessly plugging my Max for Live device that we just released, co-developing.
I saw that.
Plug it away. Share
Thank you. So this is just a utility device to anyone who likes to play or learn music theory and just see what they're playing. This is called Keyboard Monitor. I co-developed it with OCH. It's a developer from Portugal. And this is just to show you what you're playing. And what's nice about this new update, that now we also have a really nice algorithm for a chord detector that will detect anything from even altered chords, also all kinds of chords. So it's really great also for people who use the push and they want to kind of know what am I actually playing on the push, this is a great utility. And one more, if anyone's have video game controllers, I have my gamepad control, just allows you to very easily use video game controllers with Ableton. And that's it. We have other exciting Max for Live devices coming in the near future as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. You said we. Who else are you working with?
His name is OCH. He's a developer from Portugal.
Okay.
So we most of our Max for Live devices, except the gamepad control, is in collaboration with him. I'm more of the hacker. He's more of the smart dude who actually does, the fixing I bring him like the most broken ass patches possible. Hey dude, here's an idea. He's like, okay, let's develop it. Although I do want to say that ChatGPT was a lot of help going back and forth with when it comes to JavaScript stuff, more coding. It's very helpful to use those new technologies as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I've used a lot of OpenAI's tools. It's getting really smart. It's crazy, especially with the new release of 4.0 Mini. It's faster and cheaper.
The preview 01 is crazy.
Yeah.
If anyone's doing coding and stuff.
Have you heard of Google's new Notebook LM?
For music?
It's not for music. This is unrelated to music, but it's if you ever want to get like a summary, whether you're doing a presentation on something or if you want to just like get really quick info about a lot of stuff, like you take a manual, right? You can upload a manual, say for the push 3, and then you're looking for a very specific feature. You can train it on a PDF or a Google Doc or a URL. So you just copy and paste a URL and then it'll summarize anything and answer anything you need from that. It's free.
Really?
To go even further, you can make an AI human-like podcast episode based off of what you train it. So if you don't have time and you're going in the car, you just click this one button and you upload whatever you want. It'll create a podcast episode that's as long as it needs to be, that just tells you exactly what is uploaded and summarizes.
Wait, it's also for videos? Can you feed it a video?
That's a good question. I know.
But I saw you release the Ableton AI, right?
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
I was going to ask you to ask it a question and see what it says, if you're interested.
Okay, wait. Let me try to tackle the...
Yeah. I should have given you a heads up. We can cut this.
No problem. Let me give you a hard question to ask the AI.
Yeah. Try to trick it. See what it does.
Okay. How many tracks? Oh my God. No, I want to get like a really hard question. I wonder why it's going to answer about how many tracks can Ableton have. How long of a recording can Ableton do?
Okay. How long of an...
Another question is how long can Ableton capture for? How long does it listen to?
Okay, let's try this one first. It says Ableton does not have a fixed limit on the length of an audio recording. The recording can continue until you manually stop it by pressing the record, new, play, stop buttons.
I believe Ableton has a limit.
Does it?
I think it's like 2 gigs.
It says the length of the recording is limited by the available disk space on your computer.
Maybe from Ableton 11. But another question, which is maybe for anyone who wants to know, which is absolutely crazy, and I learned it from Ben, who is work for Ableton. Shout out to Ben. I just got to show it very quickly, so if anyone running into this issue, just so you know, and I wonder if the AI knows. But here, let me show you just a situation. So I'm right here. Let's say you want to load some samples into the granulator. What's the granulator? Granulator. So my folders of my sample packs on my hard drive used to be called Foley / Sound Design / Orc or Orchestra. And for example here, Hip Hop / Lo-Fi. And that breaks Ableton when it comes to loading files. I would not be able to load files. I would have to go first, load them here, crop them, and then load them into Granulator. And I didn't know why until Ben told me you cannot have slashes when you name your folder for this type of situations, because then it thinks it's a it can get confused. So I renamed all my folders to Dash. So don't use slashes in your folders. That's my tip.
That's interesting. Yeah. I didn't know that. That's good to
And
know.
I would never be able to solve it without someone from inside Ableton, who knows the intricacies of all this.
That's interesting. Is there a limit to how many tracks you can have? I don't think there is.
I'm pretty sure it's 512, no?
I don't know if there's a limit. I think it's just until your computer can't handle it. I know there's a limited amount of return. You can have 12 return tracks.
Right. And how many return chains in drum racks?
I got
Up to
you.
6.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure there's a limit of like 512 tracks. No? Maybe they removed it. Maybe it's old stuff, but I'm pretty sure there's a limit. If anyone can confirm, better, probably Ableton can confirm.
Yeah. That's
but
interesting.
I want to say there's a limit. But I don't know for a fact. Or at least it was used to be old school fact.
So the AI bot, Alberto Chapa, he asked it, can you help me make the sound of a star crashing into a planet using Operator? And it actually did a pretty decent job.
Really? Dude, how do I
Yeah.
access this AI? Can I access it?
Yeah, I'll send you a link. Right now it's in beta still, so I'd say it's probably 80% of the time perfect. Yeah, there's like a 20% hallucination sometimes, but at most part, I think it's great for people who are maybe wanting help just getting started of like, how do I make a respace sound using Wavetable? It does a decent job of getting you like most of the way there. Or if you want to say like, how do I, get around trying to freeze a grouped track in Ableton? It'll be like, oh, well, here's some other options and workflows to consider. That kind of stuff.
Wow, amazing. Well, from what I can, I'll definitely check it out. But what I can tell, by the way, unlimited audio and MIDI tracks, audio inputs, mono audio input channel 256. So I'm not really sure. I don't think there is a limit to number of tracks.
Okay, that's good to know because I asked it and it said that there was no limit.
Audio outputs 256. Audio inputs 256. That's the limit. But audio and MIDI tracks unlimited. So
interesting.
I'm not really sure if that's a limitation or not.
Yeah,
but I will definitely check the.
Yeah, I'll send you a private link so you can play with it, and let me know what you think. I would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds awesome.
Cool, man. Where's the best place for people to connect with you if they want to hang out or see your stuff?
Yeah, so on all platforms under Sidebrain, specifically Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook. I do host every Sunday 2-hour meetings, classes, different topics, usually focusing on one specific style of music. Like, for example, this upcoming Sunday, we're focusing on IDM breakcore, kind of square pusher, Venetian snare, stuff like that. So really great for all levels, also meeting other producers. That's every Sunday. And you can find all the links on my socials as well. And of course, YouTube and Instagram and TikTok are the main platforms where I post free tutorials and short tips and stuff if people want to follow. And of course, reach out, any questions or anything, would love to connect.
Yeah, everybody listening, if you aren't following this man, definitely go do that now because he's got some really good content. And yeah, man, you're one of the OG Ableton Certified Trainers. So always happy to have you on the podcast. And I'm really looking forward to hanging out in November. We're going to have a great time.
Yeah, coming up. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man, we'll talk to you soon. Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast. Do me a huge favor if you would and hit that follow or subscribe button wherever you're listening to the podcast. If you don't hate the podcast, please leave a 5-star review. It would help me out a ton. Don't forget to check back on Tuesdays for new episodes. If you want to be the first to get new episodes and stay updated and get free new devices and sample packs and other stuff that I'll be sending out in the future, join the newsletter. Just go to liveproducersonline.com/newsletter and or check out the links in the show notes. Make sure to give this guest a follow on the socials. Give them some love for spending their time. And once again, thanks for listening to the podcast. I will see you next time. Later.